Welcome back, and now we're going to continue our conversation of the USA Dream Team's victorious gold medal game with Christy Winter-Scott on the telephone and Janee Hayes with us in studio. And Janee, this has been quite the evolution, the renaissance, the rebirth, the king actually rising up into his crown, so to speak, as LeBron James has had the trifecta. He won the MVP, he won the NBA championship, MVP of that, and he was the unquestioned leader of this Dream Team and led them to gold.
What a remarkable story, if you will. This man was the worst person in the world this time last year. And to do a complete 360, and I don't mean attitudinally, I mean just his career, if you will, and the outlook and the way people viewed him. And now everyone's looking at LeBron. And matter of fact, his attitude too, because everyone kept saying, can he finish? Can he finish? And throughout this entire year, he has finished. He finished for the Heat, and now he's finished for the Olympic team. And now everyone can look to him, or all of his teammates can look to him as a leader. Because if you watched him during the Olympic Games, he was a facilitator as long as they needed him to be a facilitator. But as soon as it came to clutch time and they needed LeBron to do something spectacular to either kill the momentum of the other team, he did it. He scored big buckets. He got monstrous dunks. And that takes the wind out of the other team's sail, because you're like, okay, I dealt with Carmelo, I dealt with Kevin, I dealt with Kobe. Oh goodness, now this guy comes in, and you know he left this Olympic team and the world not questioning him, not questioning his ability, not questioning his dedication, and ultimately not questioning his heart. And I think that was a tremendous step for him to take this summer. Right,
huge, Christy, and that pain that he went through. I mean, there's so many times we've seen it happen with so many guys. They've got to go through the trials to be able to appreciate the level of effort it takes to reach the triumph. And Doug Collins had talked about that LeBron had been compared to Michael. He said he was more magic than Michael, but do you think the growth process was he learned when it came time to become Michael, the closer, to step up? He learned how to do that this year?
Absolutely. And I think that the success breeds confidence, and confidence breeds success with him. And I think with him being the MVP, also winning his first championship, I think that took him to another level mentally, and I think he's matured because of it. I think it was ultra frustrating for him, not only to make that move to Miami and be berated for it, but to get there and go through that. And I think that ultimately made him stronger. And I know that Coach K was talking about the leadership qualities that he possessed during the USA basketball run for gold, and I was just amazed at what he was saying about LeBron, because it was almost polar opposite of what everyone had been saying about him for years. And just for him to make that evolution so quickly was really refreshing to see. And, you know, it's something that you knew that he had in him, and the only thing holding him back was his mentality, because physically there's no one that can stop him when he makes up his mind to drive to the rim. Just forget about it. And we understand that, and I think that was the frustration of the public was, oh, my God, you're 6'9", 250. Why are you settling for these shots? Why aren't you being more dominating? And I think it was all up to him to make the decision to be that dominating leader, that force that all of the teams that he competes on needs. And I think with him being still a young player, it's really, I think it's so exciting, and it's scary almost to see what could happen in Miami.
Right, and Janee, it was almost like he had always been marketed as King James, but it's like he was a reluctant king, and now it seems like he's grown, like I said, the analogy, grown into that crown and is comfortable being that king. And as we saw his first year in Miami, he deferred to Dwayne Wade. This year, it was literally Dwayne Wade had to defer to him, health reasons or otherwise, just to get him his championship. And we just see just him just taking over and rising his game to a whole nother level.
Yeah, he does, and obviously that's indicative of his maturity and his accepting his role as king. You know, a lot of people don't want to be king because with with that comes a lot of responsibility. And when you have the whole world watching you, you are essentially in a fish tank. Everything you do is magnified to the umpteenth power. And I'm sure that when he was younger, you know, he couldn't avoid it, but he avoided it as much as he could. And now I think that he's mature enough and he's grown and confident enough in himself to say, okay, world, I'm ready. I'm ready to take the good with the bad, and I understand that given the role that I have to play, there's going to be a lot of bad, but with the bad, I can learn and become not good, but great. And if not great, then possibly the best.
Now, Christy, you think that the Dwight Howard trade took place? Do you think that he needs to talk to LeBron about how do you prepare for the situation? Because LeBron was the same way. He tried, he did what he wanted to do, didn't want to be thought badly about it, wanted to still remain popular, but he was ultimately vilified for it. Had to feel that pain in order to overcome. And Janee, I'll have you add on this as well. Now, Dwight Howard, his actions have not been consistent with his public comments. That circus is finally over. Do you think it's going to be a good situation for him to actually get traded to a team where there is already a megastar there and he won't have the pressure like LeBron did, expecting immediate championships, even though there'll be an expectation, but it won't be a guaranteed expectation like it was when they went to Miami?
No question. I think that he is relieved more than anything to be out of Orlando because it had become such a fire pit for him in terms of all of the off-court comments. He said things that were going on with the front office and the coach and everything else. I just think that, when he didn't show up, I guess, for his youth clinic right before the trade went down, that's when I knew something was fishy because we knew that he was out in L.A. for a number of months. And for him not to come back and say it was the rehabilitation, I mean, that's another hit on your public image. And I think that was really difficult for him. But I think for him to go to a team like L.A., who also acquired a player like Steve Nash, okay, and we know about Kobe and, Paul Gasol. So with that lack of being the only one and all of the pressure on his back, I think he can not just sit back, but kind of fall into a more comfortable role with a team who's already established. And I think LeBron would be very well served to speak to Dwight about really recreating his public image and having to fight through the stigma of doing things the wrong way in the public eye.
Right, and with the scenario out with Orlando, Janee, I know they ended up getting a bounty in return, but do you think that they shied away from getting Andrew Bynum in return because they didn't want to have the comparison, hey, you gave up Dwight Howard and you got Andrew Bynum in return?
I don't know what Orlando was thinking because they didn't get anything, and you still have to compete next season.
They got bodies and draft picks.
Yeah, but you still have to compete next season. So, I mean, inevitably, it looks like Dwight didn't like the man. Well, I'm not saying didn't like, but wasn't pleased with the deals that management was making or the lack of deals that management was making. And this kind of shows their indecisiveness or their inability to make relatively good decisions. So when you have an all-star like that does want to win, it's hard for him. And so when he went out to L.A., he's surrounded by superstars, and it's unquestionable that the Lakers are committed to winning and will do whatever is necessary to win.
Now, Christy, what do you think about that? Because all the talk before was that they were going to get Bynum for Dwight Howard. How do you give up that centerpiece and you have an opportunity, the second best center in the league is on the table, and you don't get him in return? You let him go to another team in the Eastern Conference.
Right. I think it was a great move by LA, and that they were behind the scenes trying to make something work where they didn't have to give up a lot. And I think by a lot, I mean Paul Gasol. And I think that Kobe wanted Gasol to stay, but I don't think that he really wanted Bynum there. So that's just my personal opinion. I could be totally wrong, but I think if Dwight Howard could come in there and make his mark, I think that will prove that was a good move. But if he comes in and he's not going to play, people are forgetting he's coming off of back surgery. He probably won't play until they're talking about the Christmas game. And that's even shaky. So he might not even see time with the Lakers until January, and he has, the option at the end of the year to be out of L.A. So you're talking a possible short stay there, but financially things worked out with the four teams to get players, except for Orlando, to get players where they need to be. I think Iguodala in Denver, I think that's a great move. And Bynum to Philly. I mean, he's from that area, right down the street pretty much from there, so he's going to have the family support. But I think that LA pulled a coup, really, to be able to keep Paul Gasol there and to pull Nash. I think that was an amazing deal that they got.
And how does Orlando spin that trade to the folks in Orlando?
How do they spin it?
Mm-hmm. They've got a brand new arena there.
They go mute. They hide. That's about the best, because you can't justify it. I mean, because still you have people that bought tickets and everything, and you have the new arena, and you've boasted about we're bringing excellence to Orlando, and then you do that. Those two just don't coincide. So
well,
you stay mute.
What does coincide and what we're not going to mute are Christy Winter-Scott on the telephone and Janee Hayes. Ladies, great job as always. And Christy, we'll see you in the studio soon.
Absolutely. Miss you guys there. See you soon, no?
All right, that's going to do it for this edition. I know you enjoyed it. It was informative and action-packed, and you look forward to more discussion of the rest of the WNBA season, off-season activity for the NBA, special features, and interviews with the high school, college, and professional basketball players and teams in the Washington metropolitan area on future shows. And remember, what's happening on the court will definitely be around the ball. And for all of your aspiring basketball stars out there, don't ever forget that focusing on your education is the first step towards making your hoop dreams come true. So until next time, Christy Winter-Scott, Janee Hayes, and the whole Roundball Report family, I'm Andrew Dyer. Good night.